Welcome to a world where power moves in the shadows and money speaks louder than nations. You've heard of billionaires. But what if we told you there's a class of trillionaires you'll never see on Forbes? Today, we expose the hidden empire of the Russian Mafia, a secretive network of wealth, influence, and unimaginable luxury that operates far beyond the reach of the law. This isn't a conspiracy. This is the side of global finance they don't want you to see. Let's dive in. When you think of wealth, you probably imagine tech tycoons, oil magnates, or royal families. But there's a shadowy class of ultra-wealthy individuals whose fortunes eclipse headlines and avoid the spotlight entirely: the Russian Mafia. These men aren't just millionaires. They operate in the realm of trillion-dollar influence, hidden assets, and power structures more sophisticated than most governments. From Soviet collapse to global empire, the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991 created a perfect storm of chaos, corruption, and opportunity. With state-owned industries up for grabs and little regulation in place, former KGB agents, military officers, and criminal syndicates stepped in to seize control. What followed was the biggest wealth transfer in modern history, not to the people, but to the underworld. Criminal groups, often with ties to former intelligence officers, moved quickly to take over oil, gas, arms, and metals industries. These weren't street gangs. They were organized, strategic, and extremely well connected. By the early 2000s, these groups had evolved into business syndicates that looked legitimate on the surface, but beneath the facade, they were rooted in extortion, violence, bribery, and black market dealings. The trillion-dollar network. While it's impossible to know the exact figures, some financial investigators estimate that Russian organized crime controls or influences assets worth trillions globally. This doesn't mean they have that money in a bank. It means they control business empires, political leaders, and illicit markets that generate enormous revenue streams. This includes oil and gas exports, arms trafficking, cybercrime and hacking, money laundering, human trafficking, real estate laundering across London, Dubai, and New York, and increasingly, crypto markets. What makes this wealth so dangerous is its invisibility. It's hidden behind shell companies, offshore accounts, and proxies. Entire skyscrapers in major cities are owned anonymously by holding firms with Russian origins. Luxury as camouflage. Members of the Russian Mafia don't live like typical criminals. They live like kings, but kings who prefer shadows to the spotlight. Some hallmarks of their lifestyle include mega yachts worth over $300 million, rivaling the fleets of royalty, private military security forces trained by ex-KGB or Spetsnaz officers, mansions in Monaco, London, Switzerland, and the French Riviera, custom fleets of Bugattis, Bentleys, and Rolls-Royces, entire floors in luxury hotels rented out for privacy and control, nightclubs, casinos, and resorts used as money laundering hubs. But the real flex? Silence. Unlike Western billionaires who seek attention, the Russian Mafia elite avoid press, social media, and digital trails. Power, for them, lies in anonymity. Influence at the highest levels. The Russian Mafia doesn't just move money, they move governments. Over the years, oligarchs and crime lords have cultivated deep ties with politicians, law enforcement, and even foreign intelligence agencies. They fund campaigns, manipulate elections, and control media narratives, especially in regions vulnerable to corruption. Through these channels, they obtain legal immunity, business monopoly, state contracts worth billions, access to citizenships, passports, and diplomatic protection. In effect, they operate above the law, not just in Russia, but in multiple countries. Code of silence and brotherhood. Inside this world, loyalty is everything. The Russian Mafia operates under a strict internal code rooted in the Vori v Zakon tradition, thieves in law, an honor-bound brotherhood that predates even the Soviet era. Members swear loyalty for life and face brutal consequences for betrayal. Internal discipline is enforced with absolute ruthlessness, and disputes are often settled not in courtrooms but in private villas or backroom meetings. This secret society aspect is what makes the Russian underworld so difficult to penetrate. Even the most powerful Western intelligence agencies struggle to unravel its full scope. The rise of crypto mafia. As the world moves toward digital finance, so too has organized crime. Russian cybercrime syndicates are now among the most sophisticated in the world. These groups don't just hack banks, they infiltrate financial systems, run ransomware empires, and manipulate cryptocurrency markets with military precision. Bitcoin and other digital assets are being used to store, move, and launder billions in black market earnings, far away from traditional oversight. This new wave, sometimes called the crypto mafia, merges old-school ruthlessness with cutting-edge technology, making them even harder to trace or stop. Weapons, war, and black ops Russian crime syndicates aren't just passive investors, they have their own paramilitary resources. In unstable regions, Syria, Ukraine, parts of Africa, mafia-linked private military contractors, PMCs, like Wagner Group operate with state approval and full armament. These forces secure mining rights, oil fields, and trade routes that generate enormous profits, which are then funneled back into the shadow economy. This is a level of global influence that rivals many nations, and it's mostly financed through criminal and semi-legal enterprise. How they hide the wealth despite the luxury, the real brilliance of the Russian mafia is how hidden their money is. Through layers of corporate ownership, offshore jurisdictions, like the British Virgin Islands or Cyprus, and intermediaries, they hide assets in Swiss banks under false identities, real estate in the names of shell companies, trust funds in Monaco, Jersey, and Liechtenstein, art collections, diamonds, and collectibles with untraceable ownership. Entire investigative teams have spent decades trying to follow the money, and still haven't mapped the full picture. Why you never hear their names? Most mafia billionaires aren't on Forbes. You don't see them in magazines. They don't give TED Talks or attend celebrity galas. Their invisibility is intentional. They use stand-ins to appear on official documents. Their real names are never on the assets they control. And anyone who talks too much, especially former insiders, often disappears, or is silenced in a headline-making accident. This is the real difference between rich and untouchable. When you're in the Russian mafia, fame is a liability. Control and secrecy are everything. Final thoughts. The world's quiet trillionaires. While the media focuses on tech moguls and celebrities, the Russian mafia quietly moves billions, sometimes trillions, through shadow networks of power, influence, and wealth. They don't just play the game. In many places, they own the board. Their lifestyles may seem like fantasy, gold-plated bunkers, diamond-studded everything, and private jets on standby, but it's all part of a world that thrives in silence. You may never know their names. You may never see their faces. But behind some of the biggest financial moves on Earth, there's often a shadowy hand from the Russian underworld. We've just taken a rare look inside one of the most powerful underworld empires on Earth. The Russian mafia doesn't chase fame, they chase control. And in their world, secrecy is wealth. If this video opened your eyes to the darker side of global power, make sure to like, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more truth behind untouchable fortunes, you know where to find it. Stay curious. Stay alert. Until next time.